All right, yeah, we're expecting a few more, but maybe if we want to do some quick introductions with who's here. And so Barry, just like kind of a little recap of what we're going to do. We are recording this so we can send it out to startup-owned companies as a resource down the road. So since you're here, you get to ask David questions, which is awesome. And we're going to get David in eventually doing office hours as well. So if his funding is relevant to you or anyone you know, they can meet with him one-on-one, which would be really helpful. Oh, Barry just popped out for a sec. Zoom might have kicked him out.
Oopsie. Are we recording right now?
Yeah, is that okay?
Oh yeah, I was just curious. I saw the little, what it looked to be like a little dot that I thought we were recording now.
Yeah, we are. Awesome. So now we're just waiting on everyone. Yeah, like I said, it'll be totally fine. And this is like mainly something we were hoping to use as pre-recorded content anyways.
Yeah. Can you have the ability to edit this conversation out of this presentation?
Yep, we totally do. We have a videographer that is able to edit that out. So he's
Awesome.
very helpful. Yeah. Oh, there we go, Barry's back. Yeah, we do this quite a bit, so he has to edit out a lot of my awkward small talk. I have a feeling he might be like compiling it to use it against me one day, but either way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right, Barry, we've got you back now. We are expecting a few others, but I guess it's a nice sunny day in PEI, and that kind of scares people away from events sometimes. But that's okay. We're recording this, and we'll be able to send it out to them after the fact. Yeah, really excited to have David Eisnor from Futurpreneur back. We've had him for a few info sessions in the past, and it's really great to be able to adapt this one digitally for sure, and chat about the offerings we have. We have David as a connection, which is super helpful. And yeah, the idea is we're going to record this and send it out to our companies afterward. But Barry, if you do have any questions, we'll have time at the end for that. And yeah, we expect it to be a relatively quick session since we don't have a lot of people in here right now. But either way, super thankful for you taking your time out of your day for this, David. And yeah, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome, thank you so much. So it's actually interesting. We mentioned, I've been in before, and last time I was on PEI was exactly when this all started, and I left PEI and came to my house, and I haven't really been anywhere since. So, so it's great to be back again. I think you had said maybe last time we spoke, it was the last in-person workshop that may have happened prior to COVID. When I was there, I just did one of the coffee chats. So. It's neat to see folks, yeah. But that was the last time I've been in front of a room full of people, or not really full, but a room of people, as opposed to being over Zoom, the whole new Zoom world. But thanks, Barry, for joining. I always start my presentations, and I don't know, I can't see you, so I don't know whether you're someone who would be interested in our financing or just our resources. I often start my presentation by saying that Futurpreneur has something for everyone. Our core programming in the form of financing and mentorship is for entrepreneurs between the ages of 18 and 39. But everything is, we've got tons of resources from business plan writers and things like that to help other entrepreneurs as well. And while I'm going, I'll notice we just had another person join, so welcome. I think it's Eduardo. Thanks for joining. I'm going to get you to flick into the next slide. I thought as a change, I want you to reflect on these two questions in your intro. If everyone just does a quick little intro. What brings you to today's workshop is the info, I guess the intro question, and then think about this. This is for the questions, and what is one challenge that you're having as you're starting your own business? And just sort of think about that, because it might spur some questions as we go through the presentation. So Barry, I don't know if you wanted to, and everyone has the option not to introduce themselves, but if you'd like to introduce yourself, Barry, certainly jump in and do that, and we'll get Eduardo after. And you need to unmute yourself if you're going to do it, but I don't have the ability to. Okay.
There, is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
My name is Barry, and I run a company, Chic Financial Software, have for 30 years, and it developed a point-of-sale / accounting software for retailers.
Okay.
25 years ago, so there's about 40 users on PEI, and we want to go national and international now.
Amazing.
So we're not, and I'm not between the ages that you mentioned, and I'm just looking for information.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks very much. Eduardo, did you want to share who you are and what you're here for?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, my name is Eduardo. I came here to study culinary arts, College. and I'm from Peru. And my idea was to open a restaurant, a Peruvian restaurant here in Charlottetown. But because of the COVID, I have postponed those plans for now. But I would like some information about funding and how to get the money for doing it.
Awesome. Okay, I think I can probably help you. So I would say that I have something, I mean, like I said before, there's lots of resources as well, but from Barry's perspective, a big part of my role is recruiting volunteer mentors to help support the next generation of entrepreneurs. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you think about, maybe I'd like to give back and help support a new entrepreneur, maybe you're already doing it. It might be another opportunity for you as well. So keep that as in the back of your mind as well. So I'll get Rachel to click into the next slide. So this is some information from a survey that Industry Canada did a few years ago. And the reason I show it is because sometimes we get questions, well, why do you only support that age range? Or why do you even exist at all? But I just like to share some of this information, but 98% of the companies in Canada are small to medium-sized enterprises. So small business makes up a huge part of what happens across the country. And for the purpose of this study, a small business is 100 employees or less, just to understand that. And they make up about 50% of Canada's GDP. The last two bullets are the ones that make us more relevant. 50% of small business owners are going to retire soon. And there are only 12% of those businesses owned by someone under the age of 39. So we came around 22 to 25 years ago to try to support a youthful audience to get involved in entrepreneurship. A lot of people are young and they're getting jobs. They're not wanting to start businesses. They don't want to take the risk. So we need to try to encourage some more of those people to start businesses. Also, with that many businesses retiring, as soon as a business closes, or a business owner leaves, I should say, the business closes. So there's people that need new products or services, or there's an opportunity for someone to take over that business. So there's lots of opportunities for our audience who want to get started in business, whether it's starting a new business or buying a business. And both of those things you can do with our funding. So jump into the next slide. And this is our team. So we're a small team for Atlantic Canada, and some of our Atlantic Canada people are not in Atlantic Canada. Our director is in Montreal, and she leads Quebec, Atlantic, and BC. And then within Atlantic, we got myself, David Eisnor. I've got Scott Andrews in St. John's, Newfoundland, and Matt LeBlanc. He supports our French-speaking entrepreneurs across the region. And then everyone that would go through our region would work with, we call it a client relationship manager in Toronto. Her name's Audrey Marie Nelly. And I always say Audrey wants to give you money because her role is really to help support you. So I work through the process. She'll look at your business plan. She'll give you feedback, and she wants to make sure everything's really nice before she'll send it for approval. So as a team, we work well together, and we support usually about 70, 75 entrepreneurs a year in Atlantic Canada, nationally about 1,000 a year, but in Atlantic Canada, about 75 of those. And PEI, anywhere from say like 3 to 10 would be the entrepreneurs we would support in a given year on PEI. So I'm gonna jump into the next slide. And the next slide is going to talk a bit about our national impact. So that previously was a bit of a survey. This is actually what we've been able to do over the last 22 years. The number of people, entrepreneurs we supported, the number of companies launched. And then also the government funds us, and they don't give us money just because. They want to see that things come out of it. So they want to see that there's jobs created. They want to see that there's, the next bullet across from that is 300 million in estimated tax revenue. So they're giving us money, but they're actually getting that back in the form of taxes from companies in the successful economy. So that's really why they want to give us money, because we can help spur the economy. And top right, you see 42% of the entrepreneurs we are supported are female-led companies, which is amazing to see. It's above the national average, so that's awesome. See that in youthful entrepreneurs. And another, right smack dab in the middle, more than 3,000 volunteer mentors across the country. And then that's every entrepreneur that gets supported with us gets a volunteer mentor for 2 years. One of the biggest parts of our program. Lots of places to get money, not as many places to get a mentor. And our mentorship program is quite different than a lot of the mentorship programs that are currently in existence. So I'll click into the next slide. The 113,000 refers to the business plan writer, but these are some of the resources that are available for any entrepreneur. And I think probably one of the best ones is our business plan writer. So Bank of Montreal has supported us in putting together a business resource center. The business plan writer is set up that you create an online profile, And then it's almost like a fill in the blank business plan. It's all done online, so saved in the cloud, so you can keep going back, save your work, keep working through it. It has blanks that you fill out for each section of the business plan. All the headings are there, but it also says, this is what you put in this section. And then here's an example of what someone else put in this section. So it really helps you through it, because we know the entrepreneurs that we're working with, they are passionate about a business idea, not passionate always about writing a business plan. They don't know how to do a business plan. So we've tried to find ways to make it easy for them. So the business plan writer is probably one of those best tools that we've got. We also then, just below that, is crash courses. So we've created a series of crash courses that are really paired to work with those business plan writers. So when you're in a section, some people, they might have a business degree, but they've forgotten, or they slept through that class, but it's almost like a just-in-time learning. It's set up there that you can click through it whenever you have time. It can be midnight and you can just click through this little, it's similar to PowerPoint. It's done in a Prezi format, but you can click through that section and then it gives you some more pointers on how to do that section of the business plan. So it's all designed for you to be able to just sit down and work away at your business plan, along with some of the other resources that other organizations have as well. We also have some regional and national networking events. Some of those networking events would have been at your location. They're not going to happen probably now until next year again in person, but we take part and we host some of those events as well. And then there's also opportunities that we've had over the years to take part in larger networking and public policy meetings. We've done some roundtables. We brought in government, and our entrepreneurs have shared some of their experiences and what they've learned being an entrepreneur and trying to help the government develop better programming. So there's lots of different things that we do. I'm going to focus, though, more on the program from financing and mentorship, but there's lots of other things that we do that I'm not going to get into today. So certainly if any of those things spark your interest, you can reach out and we can have a chat at another time about some of those things. So I'm going to get Erin, or not Erin, sorry, Rebecca. Rachel, sorry, to jump into the next slide. My brain just flipped for a second. So the core program that I'm going to focus on today is our startup program. And that's the one that we have had since inception. It's been around for 22 years. What that is a pairing of financing and mentorship. So any entrepreneur coming to us in our age category can access up to, actually I'm going to get you to jump into the next slide too, can access up to $20,000 in financing from us and $40,000 from the BDC. So it's $60,000 in funding. So every entrepreneur that we work with has to be between the ages of 18 and 39. If it's a partnership, let's just say there's two people, someone's over our age eligibility and someone's within our age eligibility, 51% of the company has to be in our age eligibility. Our entrepreneurs also had to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. We check credit, and you need to have an active credit. And I believe if you haven't yet gotten your permanent residency, you're not able to start creating Canadian credit as well. So that's one of the things you do need to have. This program is really focused on a full-time business. We have another one I'll touch on in a minute, but generally speaking, the most entrepreneurs we work with are starting full-time operations because they want to create a job for themselves, create an income for themselves, and hopefully create job and income for others as well. So the way we qualify that is you have to be in business. So you can be pre-launch or be in business less than 12 months and then you're still eligible. So if you're starting a full-time business, let's just say you're just beginning, that's great. Let's just say you've been doing something part-time. Let's just say, Eduardo, you talk about a restaurant. Let's just say you were selling some food at Charlottetown at the market. And you've only been doing that one day a week or maybe Saturdays and Wednesday, when they're open. And now you're like, I've been doing this for 2 years and now I'd like to actually open up a full-fledged restaurant. We can still help you. You have to be in operation for 12 months, less than 12 months full-time. So if you've been doing something part-time for a couple of years and then you want to roll it full-time, you're still eligible for our core program. You can also buy a business. So it's starting a new business or buying a business. We look at a business plan and a cash flow. So that's really how we determine if the business is going to be successful. You write the business plan and do the cash flow. That's why we have those great resources. And then we want you to identify and really explain to us in that business plan and show from the cash flow why it's going to be successful, and from the cash flow side of how it's going to be successful, and that you're going to generate revenue and there's going to be enough cash flow at the bottom to pay yourself, because we need to see that you're going to be able to pay and support yourself and also be successful over the long run. And the most important piece, and I'm probably going to say it a couple times in the presentation, the most important thing that we have is our mentorship program. So every entrepreneur that goes through this program gets to work with a volunteer mentor for 2 years. The way that program works is we know you're passionate and have experience in an area, and that's why you're starting a business. But maybe let's just say, I'm gonna throw a restaurant again. You know about restaurants, you know about food, but you know nothing about marketing, let's just say, or you know nothing about cash flow management or business management for that matter. So we'll find you a mentor who has an area, skill area in an area that you don't, and then they can provide some strategic advice around that area. Now, if it's marketing, they're not gonna write a marketing plan for you. They're gonna give you some coaching around, you need a marketing plan, and here's some great resources to check out while you write it. I'll give you some feedback on it. And then strategically, they're gonna give you some ideas based on what you've written, give you some feedback on your ideas. Same with cash flow management. They're not gonna do your books for you. They're gonna say, you need a bookkeeper. Once you have a bookkeeper, let's look at those numbers. What do those numbers really mean? So a mentor is invaluable. I mean, you can have consultants, you can have lots of people, but a mentor is really there. He's a cheerleader. He or she's a cheerleader on your team to help support you. So meant to be a strategic mentor. It's meant to be over 2 years. And the reason some people think, wow, that's a long time. That's a big commitment from a mentoring perspective. It is. But the goal is that in the very beginning, everyone's always excited and happy because I'm launching this brand new business. You're on cloud 9. Maybe for the first 3 months, things are great. What happens 6 months to a year later, sometimes, and in many cases, things don't go as you had planned. You might get down, business isn't hitting your projections as you thought it would. We want you to have a relationship with someone through the long haul. So they've already heard about all your excitement. They've already talked with you about some of your challenges, and now you can feel safe and comfortable talking to that person about the fact that I'm not doing as well as I thought I would. Can you help me through this situation? So we really wanted to make sure that we've got a long-term trusting relationship. We don't want an entrepreneur ever to feel alone, and they know that they have that one person they can reach out to. Generally speaking, we say it's a meeting a month. Upwards of 4 hours a month of a commitment is what we say, but generally it's a meeting a month. And they touch base every month. You set an agenda, you talk about some great topics, the strategy, discuss, come back a month later, see where you left off, and maybe you've met some of your goals and then set some new goals. And anyway, so it's set up like that. So that's how that's set up. I'm gonna get you to flick to the next slide. So the mentorship is probably the most important part of what we have. Lots of places to get money. We are the only organization, to my knowledge, that offers that pairing of money and mentorship together. So our money is up to $20,000 in the form of a loan. You don't need to put any money or hold any collateral to get that money. So if you just need a small loan, you can access that. You don't have to put any money in the project. And we're not going to take a lien on that piece of equipment or your house or car or anything. Then it's prime plus 3.75 right now. And I just realized this presentation is slightly outdated. I think it's actually 6.2% right now. Our prime has gone down a couple times and I didn't update that. Sorry about that. It's a 5-year term. So interest only payments in the first year. So for the first 12 months, you're only making an interest payment. And then the loan itself is going to be paid back over the remaining 4 years. And there's no penalty. If you're actually doing really well after 2 years, you know what, I'm doing amazing. I wanna pay back that loan in full and stop paying interest. Amazing, you can do that. No penalty. And get you to jump into the next slide. So what we've done is we've formed a partnership with the Business Development Bank of Canada because some people felt that 20,000 wasn't quite enough. So we partnered with the Business Development Bank of Canada. And so on the next slide, you'll see that the BDC can offer an additional $40,000 to you. So in total, by coming to Futurpreneur, you can access up to $60,000. So it's our money up to 20. And if you're eligible for the full amount, you can get up to another $40,000 with a BDC. So that's a great amount just to get started in something small. Now, if you need more than that, there's also a lot of great other partners that you can turn to. If you're in Charlottetown, you can access the impact loan through, it's actually the CBDC in Summerside that delivers that. If you're more rural, you can access some other funding through the CBDCs, I think upwards of $150,000. And then there's probably some other sources of funding as well. The BDC has some funding directly, and there's tons and tons of money. There's tons of money out there. But like I said before, so our money, I think on the next slide, I'll show you a quote of why mentorship is important. But so the BDC is oh, sorry, I jumped forward. I wasn't there ready yet. So the BDC, you have to put a little bit of money in yourself, though. So if you just want our 20,000, great. If you want 40,000 for the BDC as well, you got to put 10% of the project in. So if you're getting $60,000, you have to show that you could put $6,000 into the business yourself. So a 10% equity is required into the project. They follow our lead. It's interest only in the first year. Because we all recognize it may take a little longer for you to actually get your business off the ground. So we're just going to charge you a small amount of money in that first year. And then the remaining 4 years, you're going to pay back principal plus interest. It's one process. So you come to us, you fill out an application, you'll fill out another form for the BDC, but you only had to deal with one person. Now we do on the back end, we communicate with the BDC, we send it over, we go back and forth a bit. And once you get the money, you get the money dispersed into your bank account from us. The next day you get your BDC money dispersed into your bank account. You don't have to go to 2 different institutions, you get it all through us. Oftentimes you can go to the BDC directly. Oftentimes if you're younger and you have less established net worth, they'll send you to us anyway, because for them it may be a little higher risk to give you a loan. You can still get a loan with them, but through us. And their interest rate's slightly higher because of that. They consider it a higher risk loan if it's a startup that doesn't have as much money to put into the project. Just to give you an idea, if you go to BDC directly, minimum they'd say you want 25% down. So, and not all young people have that ability to raise that kind of money. So that's why they've formed this partnership with us. A little more expensive, but they can get some great support, some great clients by doing that. Okay, on to the next slide. And I said I'd talk about it again, and I am. So for us, the mentorship program is really, it's the most important part of everything that we do. So it's 2 years, 2 year of relationship, 4 hours a month. I touched on that already. We generally look to match someone on skill gap, which I mentioned before, but also location. The idea is that mentoring isn't just a skill transfer. There's a lot of other things. You might be able to meet a mentor's network. There might be other things that you can do based on being in the same proximity. We know with COVID things that are different. So you may not get to meet face to face. You might be meeting over Zoom. That has happened a lot. I think most of our orientations are actually happening with our mentor and entrepreneurs through technology right now. The hope is, though, they're building that relationship, and at some point in time, they'll be able to actually start to meet in person. And this is the stat that I wanted to share with you. Research shows that entrepreneurs that are matched with a mentor, this isn't for a Futurpreneur stat, this is actually out of a study in the UK, but that entrepreneurs that are matched with a mentor are 70% more likely to still be in business after 5 years. My slide cut off, that should say 5 years. So that's a stat you can't really hide away from. I mean, mentorship is extremely important, and having a mentor talk through your ideas, bounce those ideas up, give you advice based on what they've learned, really, it's proven there can actually help increase your success, your likelihood of success. Sorry, my phone is ringing in the or dinging in the background. I'm gonna get you to jump into the next slide. And I should actually stop there for a second as well. Does anyone have any questions about the startup program that we just chatted about? Because I'm gonna switch programs here in a minute.
You mentioned that you have to be a permanent resident or Canadian citizen.
Yeah.
So far, I'm not yet, because I just got my work permit after studying here. Can I partnership with someone who is a Canadian citizenship, or is a Canadian and he can apply for that or no?
Yeah, so the way it works for us is we wouldn't be giving a loan to anybody who isn't a permanent resident or anyone that's outside of our age eligibility. So if you were to partner with someone, to be eligible for us, they would have to own 51% of the company. They would be getting the loan. You wouldn't be co-signing or anything. You would just be a part of the business, but they would be getting the loan, also be on the hook for the loan. So that's a consideration in any partnership. That is now, the partnership is no longer equal because one person is responsible for this loan, the other one's not. So those are things you have to have conversations with your partners, but you definitely can partner with someone who would be the sole, the 51% majority, I should say, owner, and they would be taking the loan with Futurpreneur. It's a possibility for sure. If you intend to become a permanent resident, then it just would wait until you're actually got your permanent residency before you went through the process and applied. And I would certainly get some good advice around credit. I don't think this presentation touches on credit too much, but find out about personal credit, because it might be something that in Canadian culture that you need to have good credit. I shouldn't say you need to, but generally speaking, it's good to have good credit to be in business. And sometimes it's a bit of a learning curve for folks coming here that may have not had that same situation in the country. Learn a bit about credit and ask some questions, and that's another thing I'd be happy to chat on offline as well. Okay, so Side Hustle Program. This is one of the other programs that we have that a few years ago, we noticed a trend that people were coming to us, asking us for money, but they weren't going to work full time. They were starting these side businesses, they kept their jobs. And at that point, we couldn't help them. For us, you need to be opening up a full-time business. So Rather than continually sending people away, we decided, you know what, maybe there's something here. People are asking about it. Maybe we should look into it. So we piloted a program called the Side Hustle Program. It went well. And because it went so well, we've now launched it into a full-time program for us. It's supported through TD Bank. So they've supported us with some funding to make sure that we can open this up nationally across the country and support entrepreneurs. And I think we probably support 30 or 40 entrepreneurs a year across the country with this. So it's not our bread and butter, it's not our main thing, but we want to make sure we can support those entrepreneurs. It seems as though they're passionate about something, but they're not ready to give up a full-time income. You know, a full-time income is nice if you have it, right? So they don't want to give that up, but they're really interested in exploring their passion. So we found a way to still support them. I'm going to get you to jump into the next slide with financing, and they still access a mentor for 2 years. That doesn't change. What does change is that just my page here, I'm going to get you to flip into the next slide there. What does change is the things we ask for. So still 18 to 39. The difference is, instead of from a cash flow perspective showing that you can live off your business, which would normally be the case, we want to see that you can support your business from your household income. So if the business doesn't work or you decide to not run the business, we don't want you to have any financial hardship from this. So we want to make sure that you have the income to support the loan payment. So that's one big change. The other big change is we don't ask you to do a full business plan. We ask you to do a business summary. It's partly because you may not have a business plan yet because you haven't fully thought about everything, and there might be some things you're going to dabble in and change. So we ask for a business summary. We do want to see a 2-year cash flow. We want you to understand the money that's coming in and the money that's going out, and there's definitely going to be a positive cash flow. That's something we want to see. And again, positively, you still get to work with a mentor for 2 years, which is amazing. And the same thing exists for a partnership, that the partnership would have to own, the age eligible person would have to own 51% of the company. I'm going to skip to the next slide if you could do that. The amount of money that you're asking for in this case is $15,000. That's the most we can do. There's no partnership with BDC. Usually your side hustle businesses are smaller projects. We also ask for that loan to be paid back in a shorter amount of time. So there's no interest-free period. You've got an income that can support the loan. We want to see that. So we're going to ask you to start paying off it right away. For us, it's considered a little bit higher risk because you may dabble and may be like, you know what, I don't think I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to set this aside. So we want to have you pay that loan back quickly, you know. But if you're doing well, that's amazing, because in 3 years you'll have a business that has no business loan and you can keep running your business. And maybe you then take the next leap and start running it full time. So if you think you want to start a business and you want to run it full time within the next 12 months, you'd go through our core program. If you think the intention is to keep it as a side hustle, then you would go through our side hustle program. So that's just another neat program that we came up with that we thought that we saw a need for, and we thought we'd go. And we've, like I said, 30 to 45 entrepreneurs a year we've been supporting. I think recently this year, we've already done 2 in Atlantic. We've only actually supported 5 entrepreneurs this year in Atlantic because COVID's really changed the way we work, and 2 of them have been side hustle. That's sort of amazing to think people are changing the way they're thinking. COVID is probably affecting that as well. Okay, I'm going to get you to jump into the next slide to talk about our last program that I'm going to only touch on because right now, I don't know if there's anyone on the island that would be eligible for it based on it being in an accelerator, but it is coming. So we know that there are accelerator programs that happen across Atlantic. Propel ICT is one of them. And for those entrepreneurs that get accepted into one of the accelerator programs that we partnered with, they can fast track money from Futurpreneur. And there's a couple things that I'm going to flick into the next slide there. A couple things are done slightly differently. We actually don't need a business plan or cash flow for this at all. We also don't give a mentor. This is the only case where you don't get a mentor, only because we believe that if you're in one of those accelerator programs, you've got so much intense mentorship, you've already got that covered. Mentors is always important, but we know that you've got that already. So you can access up to 20,000 with this program. And actually, I shouldn't say up to it. If you go through this program, it is period 20,000. No business plan, no cash flow. You need to be credit eligible. If you are credit eligible, we can fast track your money within a week. Just because we know we've had so much success with our accelerator partners and our accelerator entrepreneurs, from one, that they're either being successful in going to business, or just they're in the mindset that even if it doesn't go, they're going to pay back their loan. We've had people who've done exits and paid us back. You know, that we've done really well. So we've set it up this way for that reason. we still have the 5-year term and interest-only payments on this one. So that's one, like I said, I won't spend any more time on it just because it's one that gets access less, and it's only when there's accelerator programs that are running. Propel is running a cohort right now. Do you know, Rachel, if there's any folks from PEI in that cohort? Anyone from your space?
Not that I know off the top of my head, but
No, it may be that they just launched the applications. I saw an email recently. Maybe it's just they're launching the applications of the new cohort. So there might be someone from the island that gets in that next cohort. So that's the end of the programs. I'm got a couple slides that are going to start. I think once you click over to success stories, I think it'll start to roll on its own. I'll touch on a couple of these entrepreneurs that they come up in the slides, and then I'm opening it up to any questions that you might have around the program or any other resources that I may have touched on or credit or anything like that. So if you want to flip into the success stories slide, the next slide, and as they come up. So I don't know if from that, if there were any questions, or if my question from the beginning, are there any challenges that you're facing? If anything comes up from that you thought you might want to touch on and ask about. So it's open discussion now with Barry and Eduardo if you had any questions. And when our first success story comes up, I'll share about, maybe click over to the next one and then certainly jump off mute and ask any questions you have. So Erin Curley was an entrepreneur we highlighted. We still throw her up here, but she's no longer an entrepreneur with us. She's now since been successful and sold her business, which is exciting. And she's in St. John's, Newfoundland. Going on 9 years ago, when I first started at Futurpreneur, I was on a business development trip to Newfoundland. I met her at an event we were hosting. At that point, she wanted to open a business. She has since gotten financing from us, opened a business, and gone through all the stages, and now sold that business and is off doing something else, which is amazing to see. So definitely one of our successful entrepreneurs. Oh, it's okay to slide. It's okay. The next one we have is Rebecca Atkinson. She's a Nova Scotia success story. She opened up a brewery on an island, believe it or not, a brewery on an island called Sober Island. Sort of fun, but she opened up, I think now going on 4 years ago, brewing beer. She has been successful and has got into one of our accelerator programs, our growth accelerator program. So that's been really great to see. And I think just a couple little notes about her. You can see it, sort of read through the summary there. She's also been really positive. Anytime we wanted to highlight her, she's happy to do that. And we always have great things to say about Rebecca. She came to in person. She's about an hour outside Halifax. She's still technically in Halifax. She's about an hour outside. She came to a couple of different workshops. She's like eager to learn anything she could get as she was getting started in her business. I think that's part of the reason she's successful. Carolyn and Josh are another great example of successful entrepreneurs that we've had. Carolyn, actually, we did a presentation to our board in Toronto yesterday, and she came in through Zoom to talk about some of her success in her business. But what her business is called, I say her because she's the person I deal with most, but Duckish Natural Skincare came out of a challenge. They were parents. And I don't know if Barry and Eduardo, if you have kids or not, but they had young children and they had to put diaper cream on. And just imagine, diaper cream, you got to put it on your hand, it's really messy, and you got to put this diaper cream on to keep diaper rash. So they came up with an idea, how could we find a better way to apply that? So basically in a deodorant stick or like a glue stick, they figured out a way to put diaper cream, and now that's how they apply it, and it's mess-free. So that was their first product. They now have, I don't know how many products, in over 50 stores across the country, the whole full line of products. So doing extremely well. They've also taken part in our Growth Accelerator last year in Toronto. And like I say, we invite her to speak now into our board about her successes. And she was telling me that during COVID, they've actually been really successful as well, because if you think about it, everyone's washing their hands, and body lotion is something they have. So you have more people interested in having hand cream to dry out moisturize their dry hands. So they've actually been really lucky that their business has continued to grow during COVID. Not everyone can say that, because we know a lot of businesses have shut down. So, and the last example I want to touch on, and it's one that I like to share because these two individuals used to work with me at Futurpreneur. Riley on the left was in Saskatchewan, and Davey on the right was in Toronto, and they met up on a Futurpreneur training and decided to start a side hustle. So speaking about side hustles, they decided to start a side hustle. And it was so successful, they left their jobs at Futurpreneur, and now they're running that full time, which is amazing. And you see some of the little bullet points there. They've also been accepted in some of the accelerators. We sent them, I don't remember where they went, but we do delegations of young entrepreneurs around the world as part of the G20. And they went to, I don't remember if it was China or Germany, but they definitely went on one of our accelerator trips. But what they do, their business Townfolio. Picture a smaller municipality. Charlottetown maybe is more well known globally. Let's just say Summerside is a little smaller. So if you have a municipality and you're looking to find immigrants to come and move to Summerside, you could work with this company, and they have a platform set up, and they market your municipality, and they would go in and they'd say, well, Summerside needs a pizza shop. Summerside has these wonderful places to visit. Summerside has all these wonderful schools and all this, and they build a platform around that. So any immigrant that's looking to move to Canada, you see Toronto, you see Vancouver, you see Montreal. Now they can also see Summerside. They can also see Montague and the different places that they might want to consider visiting. So they've been really, really successful. And like I say, because they worked with me and they were a side hustle, I love to share that story as well. So that's it for my success stories. And the last slide in my presentation is actually just a bit of a one question and answer, but some contact information for me. Please write down my email. My phone number's there. I'm pretty accessible. I'm meant to be the person that you reach out and talk to about an idea. Audrey on the slide later, you wouldn't get to talk to her until you apply for financing and you were really into our process. But me, I'm here to help support some of the entrepreneurs that are just at that early stage looking to get started. Whether it's going through our program or connecting with another organization to help support you. So there's lots and lots. I mentioned the financial support on the island, but there's some other great organizations that I'd be happy to connect you with as well if you're looking to get started. There, so I don't know if there's any questions about any of that right now.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
I don't fall in the age bracket, we know that. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, what about young entrepreneurs out there? Like I'm 66 now and I'm not going to be around forever, but the business, like the software, has been around for 25 years, polished, ready to go national, international. What about a young entrepreneur wanting to like open that business, take over the business?
Yeah, definitely. So our money can definitely be used to buy a business. And we need to look at a couple things, whether it's a share sale or an asset sale. There's things like that. But yeah, definitely something that's possible. We won't get involved. Like we don't have a bunch of entrepreneurs coming to us and want to get involved in this. That's not something we can do. I believe if you go to the chamber, and I would say your best opportunity to engage with new people interested in buying a business would be through the chamber and through their immigration program.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's lots of immigrants that are coming here with skills, but they want to, rather than start something new in a new country, I mean, they've already moved here brand new. Do they want to start a new business, or do they want to take over something that's successful? Yep. I can't remember the name of the program in Charlottetown, but it's what's the name of the immigration program? The Connectors program. Yeah, that I would say if you're not a connector, reach out to them about that. That program would be amazing to help connect you with some young entrepreneurs that might be interested in getting involved in buying a business.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Great question.
Any questions from you, Eduardo?
No, that's fine. I was just looking for another way to get the money because I don't want to ask my parents for the money. Yeah, so I guess I don't have an option there now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I mentioned that there were a lot of different funding sources. So I mean, you've got us, you've got the CBDC, you've got, I think there's some grant money as well from PEI. Like I think there's a little bit of grant money to help support you in writing a business plan. If you didn't want to use our resource, there's a little bit of money there through Innovation PEI. There's also some other, as an international, work permit, there might be a few less things available to you. But once you work through your
post-graduation work permit.
Okay. So there might be other things. I'm not as familiar in that regard, but generally speaking, there's lots of money for people. But yeah, on a one-on-one conversation, I might be able to point. I mean, you got the banks, you got the credit unions. There's lots and lots of money.
Yeah, true. I was about to buy a restaurant in Stratford here, but then the next week when we were going to close the business, the COVID and the quarantine started. So I just stopped the deal there.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. If you had gotten into it a week earlier, it would be a very different story right now. So you probably will count our blessings.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
Cool. Well, I do invite you all, if you have questions later on, certainly reach out. Barry, if you're interested in mentoring another entrepreneur, certainly reach out and have a chat. And Eduardo, I can maybe help guide you in the direction of any other resources that you might be able to help with.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time to come out today and learn a bit more about Futurpreneur.
Thanks again, David. Awesome. This would be great to have this recording to send out to folks too. And yeah, Barry, Eduardo, it was great to get you folks out. Yeah, awesome.
Wonderful. Thanks very much for the opportunity.